Hello friends, Charlie Murphy here. Thank you for choosing my video. Today I'm playing a session of 2-5 no limit 6 max games on Ignition, and my table's already up and running, so we'll jump right into the action. Upper right hand table facing a min raise from the button. I'm in my big blind. I'll be defending with King 6 suited, checking range on the flop. In position player checks back on the 5-4 deuce monotone board. I'm going to go ahead and lead out here on the turn on that offsuit ace. I now have a double gut shot to my 6 on either a 3 or a 7. Probe the turn small, plan to follow through on the river, whether I hit or miss. No need to overbet bluff here without any kind of removal to the flush. If I had ace-6 with the ace of spades, I think I'd be overbet bluffing here. As played, I'll just go ahead and use a smaller size. Lower right-hand table, 2.5x open from the cutoff. I'm in the big blind with Queen 5 suited, and I will be defending that for a call. Upper left-hand table, open King 5 suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Face a small bet from the in-position player on the lower right-hand table. With the weak hand, no real backdoor draws here. I won't go ahead and attack that. If I had a backdoor flush draw, I had a hand like 7-8 with the backdoor flush draw. I also got a pivot to the straight. I think I would go ahead and check raise. Queen 5, I'll just fold. Upper right-hand table, great flop for the King 5 of diamonds, 10-6-4 monotone, giving me the second nut flush. I'll go ahead and put in a small bet in position. Lower right-hand table, blind on blind, I'll open ace-8 using a 45% range. Upper right-hand table, open ace-deuce suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Lower right-hand table, big blind calls, I'll check range to the in-position player. I've got bottom pair top kicker on King-Queen-8 two-tone. Upper right-hand table, face a check raise from the button after my cutoff open. I would 4-bet and call off here with tens plus, either jacks plus or tens plus. Most likely tens plus. Mix in ace-queen offsuit and a couple of wheel aces as a 4-bet bluff, but not ace-deuce suited. Lower right-hand table, the in-position player stabs about 75%. I'm going to go ahead and fold my bottom pair without any real good backdoor draws against that larger size. Against half pot or smaller, I would check call. Upper right-hand table, opening ace-10 from middle position using a 21% range. Lower left-hand table, getting a min raise from the cutoff. I'll defend my big blind very widely, including 6-5 suited for a call, and I will check range on the flop. Face a small bet. I've got an open-ender on Queen 4-3 two-tone. I'm going to go ahead and put in a check raise and plan to be barreling with my draw on a lot of turns. Upper left-hand table, face a 2.5x open from the button. I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet my small blind with ace-9 suited. This guy's been tight and passive, so I'm going to treat him a bit more like a cutoff open, probably a 3-bet more like a 10-11% instead of more like 15%. Lower left-hand table, the flop check raise gets called. I'm going to keep barreling with my open-ender on that 3 turn. Not a great turn for me, as I now have a lot less combinations of 4-3 for 2 pair or 3s full. Now let's see here. Deuce 5 did in fact get there. I've got removal to it. I can put a scare into him if he was calling with some Queen X type hands. I've got 5 high. I am blasting off here, just as if I would do if I've got Deuce 5, fours full, quads 3, that kind of stuff. And the 2x river jam gets through. Upper left-hand table, opening Jack 8 suited from the cutoff using the 28% range. In position player bought in for 30 blinds, calls. I'm going to go ahead and assume he's a wreck. I'm going to check range to him in position. I've got top pair weak kicker on Jack 9 deuce two-tone. He goes ahead and bets. My call will put that pot up to 77 with a little more than a pot-sized bet left behind. I'm just going to go ahead and check jam my top pairs as well as my good high equity draws. Don't want to check call and play a guessing game on a lot of turn river cards that can be great for me. Give him a chance to check back. He just calls off with sixes. I'm way ahead. He's only drawing to 2 outs. I'm pretty comfortable this guy's a recreational player. Sixes are a bad call against my check jam range of strong top pair or better type hands and high equity draws right there. I don't like his play at all, but he's a recreational player, so I want to bust him as soon as possible. Lower right-hand table, going to open King Jack from under the gun using an 18% range. Game's not looking so hot again at the moment, but stick around for a little while and see if we can find some wrecks to play with. Upper left-hand table facing a 2.5x open from the button. Folds to my big blind. I will defend for a call with King Jack. That's 1/3 here. I could either check call or check raise this. I'm going to do pretty well on various overcards even, or cards that can turn straights. I do have the flush draw blocker. I think this one is probably fine to be check raising. Want some top pairs in the check call and the check raise line against that small bet. Along for the call. Turn is the ace of hearts, giving me second pair now, a gut shot and the nut flush draw. I'm going to go ahead and check call here, as I can check call and have the nuts on all those heart rivers right there. I got a hand like King 9, Queen 9 of hearts. I'll probably keep barreling that as it doesn't have showdown value. I'm going to go ahead and I don't know if there's too much merit in really trying to get value. I'm not really sure there's a lot of merit in bluff catching against this spot here either, though. Interesting spot. I think I'm going to go mergy and just kind of bet so you can get called by a weaker jack. Calls me down. He had ace-4 for 2 pair. I guess his flop defense is fine. He had a pair I could be check raising wide there. Just an unfortunate turn card for him. Unfortunate turn card for me, not for him. Great turn card for him. Lower right-hand table, opening King Jack from middle position using the 21% range. Got a 2.2x open from a player that's been very tight and passive in the first couple orbits. Be defending my big blind with ace-jack here. Maybe being slightly tighter because of his passive tendencies thus far, but ace-jack's still going to be a very standard defense. Upper left-hand table, I'm opening ace-queen from the cutoff using the 28% range. Face a small bet. I've got a gut shot to the nuts, no backdoor flush draw or blocker. I'm going to just go ahead and check call the small bet. Check the turn. Face a 3-bet from the small blind in the upper left-hand table. I'm going to go ahead and put in a 4-bet bluff here. Bluff on the lower left-hand table on that 4-flush run out. He's stacking off with kings, aces, ace-king suited. Queens or ace-king off could go either way, either in the 4-bet call range or just the call 3-bet range. Against the jam, I'll fold ace-queen, of course. Lower left-hand table, opening king 7 suited from the button using a 44% range. Upper left-hand table, button opens 2.5x. I'm in the big blind with 5 deuce suited. I will defend that for a call. Check on the flop. Really good flop for my hand. 8-6-4 two-tone, giving me the flush draw as well as that double gut shot. And with what is just about the nut low, I guess 3 deuce is technically lower, but virtually the nut low, I'm going to be going ahead to check raise the hell out of this hand and barrel a lot of turns and rivers. Let's see here. Turn is the ace. Well, I normally lead these. I'm going to go ahead and give him a chance to rep the ace and try to check raise him instead. Not folding him off the ace anyway, but I can get him to bet fold non-ace type hands that stab the turn. Small blind, blind on blind, upper left-hand table. 8-7 off is a little outside my standard open range, and he's short stacked, so I'm not even going to win that much if I can flop the world here. I'm going to go ahead and fold that one. You could open it as well. It's pretty close, but I think fold's a little bit better. Nice situation. Lower right-hand table, get a 2.2x open from cutoff. The button 3 bets. I'm in the big blind with pocket aces. I'll be going ahead to put in a 4-bet here. Probably stacking off with jacks or better, cold 4-betting 5-6% here, mixing in some hands like ace-queen offsuit jacks and some suited broadways that will play pretty well in the 4-bet pot and also block their continues pretty well. 4-bet pot if I get called. Of course, just jacks plus ace-king I'll just call off there against the jam unless there's some real wacky unexpected action in a loose formation where the cutoff is the first player to open. Upper left-hand table, facing a raise and a re-raise. I'll fold queen-jack in my big blind going into a cold 4-bet or fold situation just like that aces hand a few moments ago. Or left-hand table, got a min-raise from the cutoff button, a recreational small blind, both call. I will call with deuces for the min-raise and the big blind closing the action, looking to hit that third deuce. Upper left-hand table, got 7-8 in the big blind, facing a 2.2x open from the button. Can go ahead and defend these offsuit connectors for that size, so I'll go ahead and do that and then check the flop. Lower right-hand table, opening king 6 suited from the cutoff using the 28% range. Face a small bet on the button. I've got a gut shot. I've got good removal to the trip nines on the 9-9-5 two-tone. I can pick up some double gut shot outs that help me barrel on the turn as well. I'm going to go ahead and attack this small size here on the button with a check raise. Lower right-hand table, I open 8-10 suited from middle position. The big blind calls and checks to me. I'll go ahead and put in a small range bet in position. Got a backdoor flush draw and some backdoor straight draws as well. Comes along for the call. Turn an offsuit 6, so we've got 9-4-3 two-tone with a 6 on the turn. 7 would give me a straight. I want to barrel some of my gut shots here. I can want to barrel my 5x, some of my 7x type hands, and some of my 8-10. I also want to check a few of those gut shots back. I think I'll prioritize flush draw blockers here. I'll check back 8-10 in this particular case and look to either bluff catch or value bet the river if I hit a pair. Bluff if he checks, and perhaps even bluff raise if I think his bet is a little on the weak side. He checks. I'm going to go ahead and turn my 10 high into a bluff. Upper left-hand table, opening blind on blind with queen 10 suited using a 45% range. Upper left-hand table, opening queen 3 suited from the button using a 44% range. Get called by the big blind, who checks to me, so I'll go ahead and put in a small range bet. I do have a gut shot on ace-4 deuce two-tone. Upper right-hand table opening nines from the cutoff using the 28% range. Hit 3-bet by the button, 3-bet from 1250 to 40. Pretty standard sizing here. Loose formation, so I can call a little bit wider than I might otherwise do it. Yeah, I'd probably be stacking off with tens or better in ace-king cutoff versus button here. A lot of the mid-pocket pairs and suited broadways can be calls in this particular formation, so I'll call with the nines. Lower right-hand table, 2.5x open under the gun. Button calls. I'll call my big blind with ace-6 suited, and check on the flop. Upper right-hand table against the 3-bet, I get a jack 7-5 two-tone board. I'm going to go ahead and check call that small bet with my nines and continue checking the turn. Be a much better turn for me if I had the 9 of diamonds in my hand. I don't, however, that 10 of diamonds turn, which closes the flush. Lower left-hand or right-hand table, the raising player checks. The button stabs for about 1/3. I've got the nut flush draw and 10-8-4 two-tone. I'm going to go ahead and put in a check raise. Against the double barrel on that flush closing turn, I'm going to go ahead and fold my pocket nines. Could also just call my entire continue range in the middle of 2 players here to protect it, but I think the check raise is okay. Let me see here. I'm going to continue barreling. Let's see, if I go half pot, I put about 270 in that pot on the river, and I want to set myself up to jam pretty big. So I'll go ahead and use half pot here. I want to be overbet jamming the river. I'll have about 360 and about 270 in the pot, so I think I like that better than sizing up a bit more on the turn. Comes along for the call. River, I make the nut non-boat. I'm going to go ahead and stuff the rest in. Lower right-hand table will open ace-queen, blind on blind, using a 45% range. Lower left-hand table, small blind checks in, or limps in. I check back with 4-7. He checks the flop. I'll stab for the minimum with second pair on queen 7-3. Rainbow. He check calls. Turn is an offsuit 6. I've got a gut shot and a pair. I'm going to go ahead and check this particular combo back. I'm going to put in a cold 4-bet with the ace-queen. A little bit close, but I think it's okay. Face a pot-sized lead from what appears to be a recreational player. I'm going to go ahead and fold that. My cold 4-bet gets called. I get a jack 10-9 two-tone board. That's actually a pretty decent board for me in that I've got top set. I've got all the overpairs, which had good removal to the straight. I've got some straight draws. I've got the nut straight with king. Got the nut straight as well with king queen suited. Let me see here. I think a better move is just going to be to go ahead and go bet with this. So I'm going to go ahead and bet out. I could be perceived as having pocket tens here as well. Lower left-hand table opening 10-9, blind on blind. Lower right-hand table opening 10-6 suited from the button using the 44% range. He comes along and calls. Turn is a pretty good card for me. The ace giving me the open-ended straight draw and top pair second kicker. I don't know. I'm certainly not folding out any better like ace-king or any kind of setter straight or anything like that. I'm trying to think if I get called by enough worse to justify blasting off here. I guess I can still have all the sets. I think I should probably go ahead and check and trap this one, as it's got good showdown value. There's not too many bad cards. I think I can check this combo. Not to fold, of course. I'm looking to get it in, or just to get it in on the river. He's got a kind of suspicious pocket kings or pocket queens that trap that can get value on the river as well. Lower right-hand table, both the... Oh, and great river for me is it's a lot harder for me to have an ace. He may be more inclined to hero call me when I jam. Hard for me to find bluffs at this board, as everything is at least a pair. Who knows how well he understands that. Stick it in. Lower right-hand table, I check back the flop. The turn gives me a backdoor flush draw. Everyone checks to me again. I'm going to start stabbing small. Plan to follow through on the river. Must have had queens or kings. Can't see how he folds anything anything stronger than hands like that. Lower right-hand table, looks like I isolated up the limper here. He calls. I have a gut shot on king 9-4 rainbow. I'll go ahead and put in a small range bet, and he had the automatic fold button already checked, and I take the pot down. Lower left-hand table, opening king-queen from the cutoff using a 28% range. Going to open queen jack from middle position over the poster in the cutoff in the upper left-hand table, just using my standard open range. He immediately jams all in for 35-ish blinds, so I'll be folding my queen high. Lower left-hand table, open ace-5 suited from middle position using a 21% range. Upper right-hand table, blind on blind, and facing a 3x open. I will go ahead and defend my big blind with jack-5 suited. Get let into small on queen, king, queen, deuce, two-tone. I've got no backdoor flush draw. I think I can go ahead and fold that one. Games are decent at the moment from what I can see. .25x open from the cutoff in the lower right-hand table. I'm going to go ahead and defend that for a call with my 8-6 suited. Monotone flop, but wrong suit. Ace, queen, 10 of spades where I have the heart, so I'll just be check folding here. He goes ahead and checks back. I technically have a double gut shot on that offsuit 9. I'm going to go ahead and probe that turn small after he checks back the flop. Really looking for the 7 to value bet the river, but the jack I probably would try as well. King on the river. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and bluff. I don't really know exactly which combo should go in the overbet bluff line, so I'll play a bit more cautiously and use the smaller size. He can bluff catch me a lot here, at least he should, but who knows if he knows to do that. And I'm sure not going to give up my 8 high, or even beat the board. Upper right-hand table, opening king-queen from middle position using a 21% range. Called by a suspected recreational player in the big blind on the upper right-hand table. I get a king 9-6 rainbow board. I'll go ahead and put in the small range bet in position here. He quickly folds, so I don't get any value from my top pair, but I do take the pot down. Lower right-hand table with opening 5s from the button using the 44% range. The button calls me. We get a king-king-4 two-tone board. Pretty decent flop for 5s. I'm still ahead of most of his calling range pre-flop. He checks. I'll go ahead and put in a small range bet. He check calls. Turn is an offsuit 10. Let's see here. I want to keep betting strong with my 10s full, my 4s full, and a lot of my better trip kings, and I can also be betting with my open-ended straight draws, a variety of flush draws. I don't know that I need to bet 5s here. 5s are still good against ace high for the most part. I think I'm going to go ahead and check these back and evaluate on the river. Probably not too much merit in trying to value bet against ace high, but I'll think about that. Could also consider bluff catching against all kinds of busted draws here. Not sure if these guys are good enough to value bet something like a turn 10x or rivered 7x pair. He checks. I think I'll just take my showdown. And I beat ace 4 for the pair of 4s on the flop. I don't know, maybe I should think about value betting that, but it seems like I might be doing it a bit too thin. Games seem okay so far. I'm finding a few recreational players swimming around the pool. Lower right-hand table going to open kings under the gun using an 18% range. Middle position player quickly calls me. That's odd to be calling from middle position with pretty much anything in these games. Players do it some. Upper right-hand table opening fives under the gun using that same 18% range. Kind of on the cusp between a 3-bet and a fold here on the upper left-hand table. I'm going to go ahead and fold it, but it's close. I'm going to go ahead and check range to the in-position player on Queen 8-7 Rainbow. He quickly checks back. I'm going to go ahead and lead the turn small. He calls. River is a flush closing card, also an overcard that makes me top set. I'm going to go ahead and value bet this for about a 2/3 size. No need to overbet on the flush closing card. See, when the fives get 3-bet, we'll just go ahead and fold those. Got a 3x open from that fish on the button. He's only got about 65 bucks left. I've got ace-10. We're just going to go ahead and raise him all in and make him race us pre-flop. He calls off with ace-7. Got him in dominated. Like to see that. Ace-10 is good. He busts out, and his seat immediately is empty and then filled with the player buying in for about 60 blinds, so I think the party may be continuing up here. New player posts. I'll pop them up from the button with deuces using something like my cutoff open range, about 28%. Upper left-hand table opening Jack-10 from the button using a 44% range. Post, ISO, re-raise. Lower left-hand table opening King-Jack from middle position using a 21% range. Suspected Rex in that lower right-hand table. Can't be completely sure. Well, he's opening for a reg-type size, but he's not topping off his stack, so I'm not sure what to make of that. Got king 5 suited in what's effectively middle position on the upper right-hand table. That's just outside of standard open for me. However, I do have a suspected fish in the small blind. I'm going to open slightly wide here because of that. I get 3-bet. My deviation does not work, but I think it's very reasonable and slight deviation from a standard game plan. It's not like I'm opening 45% from middle position because I think I see a fish in the blinds where they can just start 3-betting me with impunity. Upper left-hand table, blind down blind, the small blind limps. I check into the flop with 8-4 off. I face a min bet on queen 10-3 rainbow with no real piece of it. I will just give it up. Upper right-hand table, the rec open limps the button. I will check in my big blind with queen 10. Check range on the flop. The 9-3-3 rainbow board. He checks back. Turn is the ace of diamonds. I'm actually going to continue checking as I've got showdown value here, and I'm never folding out an ace. Probably not any kind of pair. He blasts for pot. I'll just go ahead and check fold. Fish will limp all kinds of ace-x type hands there, so my usual plan of stabbing at the turn after the flop checks through, I guess not usual, but a frequent plan that I use is going to be a little bit different. I think his range can be concentrated to be a little bit heavy on the ace-x type hands that will not fold. Five seat on that new table is playing a bit short. Potential wreck because he's not topping off. Lower left-hand table, the middle position player opens for the minimum. I'm in the big blind with queen jack offsuit. I'll be defending that for a call. He goes ahead and checks back the flop, the jack 8-5 two-tone. Turn is a board pairing card. The jack giving me pretty decent trips. So I'm going to go ahead and probe that turn small and plan to be value betting the river. Really overbetting blank rivers as well for value, thinking that he just doesn't have better hands that check back the flop very often. Upper left-hand table, 2.5x open from what's effectively the cutoff. I'm in the big blind with king 3 suited rather, and I will defend for a call. Lower right-hand table, 2.5x open from the button. I'm in the big blind with 5-4 suited, and I will defend that for a call as well. Check on the flop. Lower left-hand table, blind down blind. I'll open ace-10 using the 45% range. Facing that small bet on queen, queen 10, two-tone with no piece of it 5 high, I'll just check fold. Facing a small bet on the upper left-hand table on 10, 10, 8, two-tone with no piece of it, I'll also fold my king high there. Lower or upper left-hand table, rather, I'll open queen 10 from the button using a 44% range. Lower right-hand table, opening king 10 on the button, also using a 44% range. Big blind calls, checks to me. I'll go ahead and range bet small in position. Board is king 4, 3, two-tone. I do have the 10 of spades. Not too much going for the hand, but some offsuit jacks make for some nice cards for me. Lower left-hand table, going to open king 7 suited from middle position using a 21% range. Sizing up slightly because of that posted dead money in the cutoff. Otherwise opening more or less the same range as I would as a standard. Face the 3-bet. And go ahead and fold one of my weaker hands in the open range. Get a limper blind on blind, upper left-hand tail. I'm going to pop them up with king 9 suited, raising something like my button open range, about 44%. Checking in the bottom part of my range. Upper left-hand table, a suspected rec limps the cutoff, button isolates. I'm in the small blind with ace-jack. It's probably a little loose to be 3-betting against an isolation here. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and fold it. I'd probably 3-bet about 10% here, like ace-queen plus king-queen, fold ace-jack. Pretty close, though. Upper left-hand table, a recreational player, open limps middle position. I'll pop him up from the button with queen 10 using something like my cutoff open range, about 28%. Another suspected rec playing short calls out of the small blind. The limper calls as well. I flopped top pair on a monotone board, 10-8-5 with no heart in my hand. A little bit dicey. I think I want to go ahead and put in a small bet for value and equity denial. All kinds of runouts can kill my hand. Terrible turn card for me. The 3 of hearts putting the 4 flush out there. I'm going to go ahead and check back here. Lower right-hand table, middle position opens for a min raise. I will 3-bet my cutoff with pocket aces, 3-betting 10, 11% here. I'm just going to take the showdown with my 10, hope he doesn't have a heart. Not trying to fold him off any heart there. So no reason to turn my hand into a bluff, as I don't think a weak flush is folding. Lower left-hand table, opening Jack 9 suited from the cutoff using the 28% range. I get 4-bet. 4-bet a pretty healthy size. Yeah, in fact, he 4-bets me a little bit over 3x here. I don't really have a call range against a 4-bet of that size. As such, I think I'm just going to put aces in the jam range as opposed to the trap range. So I'm not, I'm really 35-70, 105 would be 3x. He bets 112-50. And I guess I can still be calling with queens at least. I am still gonna call and trap. The aces are just so safe here. Usual call range against a 4-bet, there would be something like jacks, queens, ace-queen suited, and aces as a trap. I'm going to get a bit tighter, probably drop ace-queen suited out first of those hands as he sizes up. Now he goes and he bets small 52 into 229. I'll continue with the aces. Kind of a dicey run out for aces as kings and queens now beat me on the king 9-3 queen flush possible board. I do have the ace of clubs in my hand though, which is pretty good. Now I guess the question is, do I really want to check back here when any kind of 10 or jack really kills my hand? I think I just want to go ahead and move all in, try to get paid by ace-king. And he snaps me off with the set of queens. My EV line looks better if I jam that pre-flop. I just don't know that it really fucking matters. I opened ace-queen, got called all over the place, and the rec is stabbing for half pot. I'm going to check call with my second pair at least once and evaluate on the turn. He really shouldn't have been checking that turn either when so many cards kill his action. He continues betting half pot. I feel like I'm getting value town here. He's fishy, but he isn't really all that loose or passive. I don't know that he's stabbing with hands weaker than a fucking king. Especially multi-way. I'm going to go ahead and fold. Could maybe even fold the flop if I don't want to call that turn. Min raise from what's effectively the cutoff on the upper right-hand table. I'm in the big blind with aces. Going to go ahead and put in the 3-bet. 3-betting about 8% here. 2.5x open from the button on the lower right-hand table. I've got 8-7 suited. Going to go ahead and put in a 3-bet with that. Upper left-hand table, button limps. I'm going to go ahead and I checked in. Flop checks through. Turn gives me an open-ender. I'm going to go ahead and stab for the minimum. Lower left-hand table, opening queen 8 suited. From the button, using the 44% range. My ace is faced a 4-bet. We're going to go into trap mode here. Again, hopefully not trap myself. Lovely flop again. King, queen 10. Going to go ahead and check on the flop. He blasts for half pot. I think the move here is going to be to check jamming. I've got aces, I've got queens, and I've got jacks, which I could maybe consider putting into the check jam line, but I don't really think I want to be calling here. I just want to go ahead and check shove my aces at that point. If he's got a set, I'm toast, but if he's got ace-king, I might be able to burn him. He's got a set of kings. The coolers are reversing on me. Fuck my life, but what are you going to do? Lower left-hand, upper left-hand table, min raise and a bunch of callers here. I'm in the small blind. I don't call very often, but it's a pretty good hand to take multi-way for a great price. Probably not getting squeezed too often by the player in the big blind. I'm going to go ahead and call. Lower left-hand table, 2.5x open from the button. I will go ahead and 3-bet my big blind with ace-5 suited. 3-betting 14, 15% there. Small bet from the big blind player who leads. Under the gun player calls. We get jammed all in by this player. I've got top pair weak kicker on king 6 deuce. That kind of action, I'm just going to go ahead and fold. Small blind calls the all in for most of his stack. He's got aces. He's got king deuce. What a bunch of sillies. King deuce hand is fine. The aces hand pre-flop is atrocious. But he's a recreational player. What do you expect these guys to do? They're going to do atrocious things. Lower right-hand table, going to open kings from the button using the 44% range. Big blind calls, get a 10-7-5 rainbow board. Now he blasted into me for pot. I'm just going to go ahead and float that donk lead with my overpair. Not that worried about it being beat necessarily. Interesting turn card, board parity card. Also puts a backdoor flush draw up there. He checks. I think I can check this card back to keep his bluffs in and induce bluffs on the river. I don't want to really bet and get check raised if he's got some kind of big hand like trips or a boat that he led with. I'm in big trouble there. Not that worried about most river runouts, even including the ace. I don't think he's going to really donk lead with too many ace highs on that board, especially not for a pot-size bet. River 4 of hearts does make some straights, does make some flushes. Not that worried about those hands being out there. He leads for half pot. This is very likely a 10x type hand looking to get some value. I'm going to go ahead and try to get a thin value raise in there with my pocket kings. So I'm going to go ahead and raise him a small size, about half pot. Expecting to get called with a 10x a lot of the time. Expecting to get reshipped on if he's got strong hands like flushes, maybe the trips, full houses. Not expecting to get bluff jammed on very often. Not nearly enough to punish me for trying to get the value raise in there. Plus, he probably just has bullshit a lot of the time anyway. Session going well, except for my aces traps against big hands pre-flop flipping against me the other direction. Other than that, things are going quite fine. I think now that I'm thinking about it a bit more, that 4-bet pot with the aces where I jammed on the turn with the overpair and the nut flush draw and the flush closer into the set of queens, I think I probably play that better as a check back, just because there's only a couple of bad rivers, cards that put a 4 straight out there without giving me the 4 flush. I think I should probably check that one back now that I think about it a bit more. Probably doesn't make a real big difference, but I think that might be a slightly better line. Lower right-hand table opening 7-6 suited from the cutoff, or the button rather, using the 44% range. Big blind comes along, checks to me. I'll go ahead and put in a small range bet. Got some backdoor draws on 9-4-4 rainbow. Upper left-hand table face a 3x open blind down blind. I will defend for a call with 3 deuce suited. Up flush draw and king jack 8 two-tone. Lower right-hand table open in 4s from the cutoff using the 28% range. Basically pretty healthy sized, about 4.5x 3-bet out of from the small blind. Trying to decide how loose I need to defend against those. I guess I can call most of my pocket pairs in this particular formation. I will defend with the 4s. Upper left-hand table, the small blind checks to me. I'll go ahead and stab for half pot, flush draw. And he quickly check folds. I face a small, about 30-35% bet on the flop on Queen 7-3 two-tone. I got pocket 4s. I think I would be more inclined to call with the club than without. I think it's okay to fold without. It is a small bet, and I do have a pair. However, I'm going to have all sorts of Queen X Broadway cards that pair it up. I'm going to have Queen 7s and 3s for sets. I'm going to have all kinds of flush draws. I'm going to have hands like 5-6 suited. Going to have hands like 6-7, 7-8 suited that can call. I think I'll go ahead and fold the 4s. Be more inclined to call with the club, I suppose. Flop checks around upper right-hand table in this limp pot. I'm going to go ahead and stab the turn here as it checks to me again. I do have fourth pair, so I've got some equity. I can improve to some trips or two-pair type hands. And probably even fold out some pair plus gut shot type hands that call the turn bet on the river if I follow through unimproved. I can pick this up quite a bit on the turn as well with nobody showing any interest in it thus far. Lower left-hand table facing a 2.5x open from the cutoff. I'm on the button with ace-3 suited. Going to go ahead and 3-bet. 3-betting about 13% here. Like we got an open limp from this 5 seed up here. Lower right-hand table going to open Queen Jack rather from the cutoff using the 28% range. Lower left-hand table facing a min raise from a recreational player and what is effectively the cutoff. I'm in the big blind with King 9. I can go ahead and defend that for a call. My Queen Jack faces a 3-bet. I will go ahead and fold. Recreational player blasts per pot on 8-6-4 rainbow, and I will fold my King 9. Face a limp blind on the lower right-hand table. 9-8 offsuit, kind of on the cusp. I'm going to go ahead and pop that up, but you could check it in as well. Either is fine. It called. Get a king, queen, queen two-tone board. I'll range bet small in position if he checks to me, which he does. Mostly be checking the turn with this particular hand. Turn is a decent card for me, a deuce of spades flush closing card. I do have the 9 of spades in my hand. I'm going to go ahead and check back to bluff catch or maybe even thin value bet on the 4 spade runouts, reopen the river for a bluff. Try to fold them up, some kind of middling pocket pair, ace high type hand. He checks again. I'm going to go ahead and continue stabbing. There we go. Upper left-hand table, blind on blind, limp pot. I checked in Jack 4, face a min bet on ace 7-5 two-tone. No reason to continue there that week. I'll just go ahead and fold. Min raise on the upper right-hand table from the middle position player. I've got 10-7 offsuit. That's just outside of standard defense for me in that spot for that size, and so I will go ahead and fold it. Upper left-hand table, a 2.5x open from middle position. My 10-9 suited in the small blind, again, just outside of standard play hand. I'll go ahead and fold that one as opposed to 3-bet. Pretty close, though, in both cases. Lower left-hand table, opening kings from middle position using a 21% range. Both the Rex fold out, unfortunately. Lower right-hand table, blind down blind. We get a limper. I'll check in with 5-4. He min bets on 9-5 deuce rainbow. I've got a decent second pair for that particular board, so I will call. Turn is the king. I'm going to go ahead and check that back. A rainbow completing king. No reason to bloat the pot with a marginal pair that could be good but doesn't really get value from a ton of stuff that's worse. Now he min bets the river. He bets 5 into 19. He's probably got something better than me, but I'm going to go ahead and showdown my 5 for that price just in case. And he's got a slightly better 5, but I think my call is very trivial there. Upper right-hand table, opening king 8 suited from the button using a 44% range. Big blind comes along for a call, checks to me. I'll go ahead and put in a small range bet. Board queen 9-5 two-tone. Don't have too much going for my hand at this stage. Do have an overcard. He calls. The turn is a 7, offsuit 7. I guess I have a gut shot right here, but I think it's a little weak to bet with no flush draw blockers. I guess I do have the overcard as well. I suppose the overcard and the gut shot might be enough for me to continue betting here. So I am going to go ahead and continue betting. I'm going to use the overbet size. Was about to check, talk myself into blasting. Especially with the removal to the nuts. I can have 6-8 here legitimately, as well as all the sets. He comes along for the call. River is a 4. I still have the nut blocker. I don't block any flushes. I do block king, queen, a great bluff catcher. I think this is a good hand to put into the big size. So I'm going to go ahead and force him to call off for all the chips. Hankin, which I don't like. I'd rather he just goes ahead and folds right away, but I think my play is defensible here. Lower left-hand table, get a 2.5x open from middle position. I'll go ahead and 3-bet the button with jacks. 3-betting about 10% here. He calls off with queen jack. Pretty decent call down, I guess. Going to open ace jack from the button, or cutoff rather, on the upper right-hand table using a 28% range. Open an ace 9 on the upper left-hand table, also from the cutoff using that same 28% range. Going to go ahead and range bet the big blind small here on the queen 6-5 two-tone board. Lower left-hand table and opening 9s from middle position using a 21% range. Face ace 3-bet from the small blind. And go ahead and defend what my suited broadways. 7s are better through queens, ace-king offsuit, or bet kings, aces, ace-king suited, and some bluffs. First 3-bet, but not enough hands to really read too much into that. Maybe jack 8-4 two-tone board. Pretty good board to continue for at least a bet or two here. Face a small bet about 30%. Going to go ahead and call with nines. Get the ace of spades. Now, I wonder if there's merit into turning this hand into a bluff. Let me see here. I'm trying to think what sort of one spade hands I have in my range. The only offsuit combos I have pre-flop are going to be ace-king, which is now top pair, top kicker. Let me see here. Now, he goes ahead and he bets a small size, about 1/3 a pot. I think what I want to do is call here to check back on a fourth spade. Hoping the hand is good, and call the bluff. Call the bluff here, on a blank where I've got the spade blocker, or I can just hit my set and try to get the money in, I suppose. He goes ahead and checks. I'm really not that worried about him having hands that beat me having checked. He should, for the most part, be betting his straights, his flushes, and his sets. A few can be in the check trap line, but I'm not that worried about the hand not being good against the check. I'm going to go ahead and just move all in. Upper right-hand table, opening ace-deuce suited from the button using a 44% range. Upper left-hand table, opening 6-5 suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Big blind checks to me. I'll go ahead and put in a small range bet. Do have a weak top pair on ace-8-4 two-tone. He calls. Turn is an offsuit 3. I'm going to want to bet some aces and check others. This is a good one to check back because it's pretty weak and also blocks the straight and has a gut shot to the wheel. Upper left-hand table, the big blind calls. I'll go ahead and range bet small on ace-8-7 two-tone. I do have an open-ended straight draw and a backdoor flush draw. He calls. Lousy turn card for me, the 10, and that the 9 is no longer all that good as it makes the ignorant end of the 4-card straight. As such, this is no longer the kind of hand I want to be blasting with too heavily. I'm going to go ahead and check this one back and evaluate the river. River is a 6, the 5th pair on a 4-straight board. This is going to be some kind of bluff candidate for me. He goes ahead and leads for 2/3. I think the move here, especially against an aggressive player, is going to be to bluff raise that. So I'm going to go ahead and put in a bluff raise, not try to bluff catch that. I'm going to reopen the river for value with my weak ace in the check back line. And he had 9s for a straight, so I think his play is reasonable, but I think my play is reasonable too. Upper right-hand table, going to open ace-7 suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Lower left-hand table, opening king 10 suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. And he spaz jams just slightly less than all in, leaves $1.28 behind, shoving all in for, looks like about 49 blinds. And then the big blind reships all in for his full stack, just shy of 100 blinds. He's got to call off. He's got queens. The other guy's got ace king. Rivers his set to outdraw ace king's flop top pair top kicker. Oh, I think I'd rather this guy has the money if he's going to be making plays like that. Upper right-hand table, opening an 8s blind on blind using a 45% range. Get called. We'll check to the in-position player. Got a decent flop for eights. Jack 6-3 rainbow. He checks back. Turn is a 10. I'm going to go ahead and probe at the turn small. You don't want to probe as often as I do. It's a fine card, fine hand to check back on that particular texture, I suppose, is a better way of saying it. Lower left-hand table, 2.5x open from the button. I will defend my big blind for a call with Queen 6 suited. Upper right-hand table, opening Ace-Jack suited from the cutoff using a 28% range. Just check fold against the 2/3 bet on Jack 10-4 two-tone with no real draws. Upper right-hand table, the big blind calls. 8-7 deuce two-tone, not a whole lot going on for my card. Not particular holding Ace-Jack. Do have two overcards, ace, decent ace high, but not a whole lot going on. He checks. I will go ahead and put in a small range bet. Best turn card for me would be an ace. He check calls. Turn is an offsuit 3. I'm going to go ahead and check back. I've got so many better bluff combos to use here. All kinds of open enders like 9-10 suited, 5-6 suited. All sorts of diamond flush draws as well. Also have 4-5 or some wheel hands like ace-4, ace-5. We'll check back the ace-jack. Upper left-hand table, opening ace-6 suited from the cutoff, using the 28% range. Now he goes and checks again. I don't know that I'm going to get him to fold a whole lot of pairs here. It's kind of close if I can check this down. I think I'm going to take the showdown, but it's close. Sixes I might be able to fold out, but then again, maybe not. You should know that that's a very bluffy texture where it stays low. Getting min raise from the middle position player on the upper left-hand table. I will 3-bet out of my big blind. Pretty tight, 5-6%, but I will be 3-betting ace-king, of course. Calls me. I get a king 8 deuce two-tone board. I even have the king of diamonds in my hand. Really nice flop for me. We'll go ahead and range bet small. He calls. Turn is a king, so now I've got trips top kicker. Got to like my hand even better. Let's see here. I think what I want to do is bet about 2/3 or so. Set myself up for a river jam. Or I could maybe even check to induce on the river as well. This formation's not particularly bluffy from my perspective. Or he shouldn't be expecting nearly as many bluffs from this tighter formation, big blind versus middle position. Yeah, he folds the turn. My logic is the flush draws will call, and if they brick out on the river, I don't block any of them as the king of diamonds is in my hand. So I really only block flush draws that are also trips. He's going to bet all in with any trips that I beat anyway if I check to him, so I'm not going to miss too much value against those. I don't really know that I'm really getting called down on the triple from just some kind of middling pocket pair that plays kings and eights or whatever, kings and tens, something like that. And the flush draws will obviously fold if I jam, but will frequently bluff if I check. So I think on the river blank, my plan was going to be to check to try to induce jams from busted flush draws. Mm. Three X open from the button on the lower left-hand table. King 7 a little bit too loose to be defending. I'll go ahead and fold that one. Probably call King 9 or better. Lower right-hand table, open Ace-6 suited from the cutoff using the 28% range. Upper left-hand table, recreational player open, limps the cutoff. I'll isolate from the button with 6-7 suited using something like my cutoff open range, about 28%. He limp calls, get a Jack-10, a 3 two-tone board. I do have a backdoor flush draw. I would really like to see the 4 or 5 of diamonds here if possible. He min bets into me 5 into 50. I'm going to treat that like a fancy check and just go ahead and put in my small range bet anyway. Get a raise from the middle position player on the upper right-hand table. Going to go ahead and re-raise from the cutoff with Queen Jack suited. Three betting about 10% here. Suited Broadway's 9 plus, Ace Jack plus, King Queen, a few wheel aces, something like that. Get a min raise from a 30 blind player and the cutoff on the lower left-hand table. The button comes along, or the small blind rather, comes along for a call. Ace deuce is a little dicey to defend anyway, especially multi-way. I'm just going to go ahead and fold it. So you need to have hands that are going to play a lot better multi-way when the small blind's in there as well. It can be a lot tighter from your big blind because of the caller. I don't think calling's a big mistake or anything like that, but I do think folding's a little bit better. Lower right-hand table, going to open King 10 from the cutoff using the 28% range. Lower left-hand table, and open Ace-9 suited from the cutoff using the 28% range. Upper left-hand table, and facing a 2.5x open from the cutoff, I will 3-bet out of my big blind with Queen 10 suited. 3-betting about 10% here. Suited Broadways, Ace Queen plus, 9s plus, a couple wheel aces and connectors. Lower left-hand table, go ahead and range bet small against the short stacks big blind that called me on the Ace King 9 two-tone board. Got a decent top pair. Turn is the interesting card. 10 of clubs completes the Broadway straight and closes the flush. I'm going to keep betting here for half pot to get some value and to protect my ace high, or my pair of aces rather, not my ace high. You can get called by various pair plus gut shots, especially with the club. Don't want to check and let a random one club hands or random gut shot hands take a free river. Upper left-hand table, opening Ace-4 suited from the button using the 44% range. Lower left-hand table, opening Ace-Jack suited from the cutoff, or middle position rather, using a 21% range. My Ace-4 suited faces a 3-bet from a player who's been very nitty so far. I think I can still defend here with a few wheel aces, so I will call, but that's a bit closer than otherwise would be. Lower left-hand table, that rec calls out of the small blind. I'll range bet him here after after he checks. Got two overcards and a backdoor flush draw and 8-5-3 rainbow. Face a small bet on ace queen 7 monotone in the upper left-hand table. I will defend with my top pair here, but not going to be looking to go too wild on most runouts. Let's see here. My ace jack gets 3-bet. I'm going to go ahead and let's see here. I've got to call 22 into 68. I'm going to go ahead and call that, looking for the overcard or the flush draw card. For flush turn on the upper left-hand table, I will check back and evaluate the river. Upper right-hand table, opening king 10 blind on blind using the 45% range. Rec jams all in for pot. I'm just going to go ahead and fold my ace high. I'm getting the chance to check down. I'm really not folding out flushes or too many better aces. I'm going to take my showdown here with ace 4. I'm against a set of aces. So if I was suspicious that he was on the tight side, him showing up with aces in that formation may lend some credence to the theory. Not that loose players can't have aces either, but... I'm going to look to shut the session down here. Take a little break. Recreational player open limps the button, lower right-hand table. I'm going to go ahead and pop him up with my queens, raising about 12% here against a limper in position out of my blinds. And he limp re-raises me. These guys, man, what are they doing today? Let me think here. Against that limp re-raise, do I just want to ship? I think I probably want to ship my kings. Probably want to ship my kings and my ace king. I probably want to call with aces to trap and hands like queens, jack, ace, queen suited. Pretty good flop for the queens, jack, 8, deuce, rainbow. Let me see here. I don't want to check call the queens as overcards kill it or he may stop betting. I think I'm going to go ahead and just put in a min raise against this guy, see if I can get him to spaz with something he shouldn't. Calls. Turn is a 7. I got about 3/4 pot left. Just going to go ahead and ship it in with my overpair. He calls off with ace-8, second pair, so I do get him to spaz off and pick up what I consider to be a very free stack right there that I shouldn't get. But if he wants to click buttons like that, I'm here to catch it when he drops the chips. Looks like the session is shut down. I'm going to take a little break. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, this is Charlie Murphy signing off.